Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another edition of the Gambit podcast. This is a weekly Grand Arena focused podcast. I am Solo Base 15. I am here with my good friend Zareth. Zareth, how are you tonight?
So I am doing well, brother. I man, it's been a week, but it's been good. It's been great, in fact. How are you?
I'm doing well enough, I guess you could say. Um, you know, it has been a week. It was the first week with the new GLs on the board. So I guess we should probably talk about that, huh? um, so I guess to start, because that's kind of a nebulous topic, why don't we talk about the reactions that you faced this week when your opponent saw that you had three Galactic Legends? Have you noticed a difference?
Oh man, it is a pretty big difference actually. Um, uh, some people didn't want to play, and we'll talk about my matches later, I guess. But some people like it just seemed like everyone, not just me, like when it like the Klessos matches, all the people who had Galactic Legend, Luke, like everyone changed their defenses. Scouting was nice to see their tendencies, see what they were capable of, but it was like they're gonna change things regardless. So that was for me really tough.
Yeah,
But
I,
am I still quiet, by the way?
yeah, you're fixed now. you were, you were only on Twitch though, not on the actual podcast.
Mm.
Yeah, It was really interesting to watch and really absurd to try and plan for. We'll talk about the individual results, as this goes on. But I did notice every week there was a reaction to the new GL. So I went up. My first two opponents did not have a third Galactic Legend. They only had the two. My third opponent had a third Galactic Legend. I will say the first two, it was very clear. Well, the first one, it was very clear they knew they were going up against third Galactic Legend. Um, and, he went heavy offense, expecting me to place all Galactic Legends on defense. My second opponent, he just let his defenses ride from the first round, and then my third opponent, he he changed his defenses up for the potential threat of the third Galactic Legend as well. So it was a really difficult week to plan for, just because I had no clue what your opponents were going to do, whether in response to your Galactic Legend or with their own third Galactic Legend. It was I put a lot more thought into this week than I have other weeks, and I put a lot of thought into every week as well.
A less restrained man might say, what might question the validity of your statement insofar as how much thought you actually put into it. But
Oh,
I do know that you put a lot of thought into it. We
yeah,
we talk about our matchups all the time. So,
yeah.
um, I would just say that to be a dick, basically.
It's why
So
we're
I'm not
here.
gonna say it. One of the reasons,
uh,
one of the many reasons.
yeah. But so you've got to play with your third Galactic Legend now. Um, how are you enjoying Luke?
You know what? So he's cool. I don't have enough Jedi.
Oh, isn't that a real problem?
It's for real. Like I don't have the roster right now to be able to take like. So I was in this situation yesterday in my match where I could split up my Jedi into as many teams as I wanted to. Also, I had Jedi Revan, Jedi Luke, and Grandmaster Luke all available. I didn't need them for a counter to a Galactic Legend, and I didn't have enough Jedi. I didn't have 15 Jedi to like actually make three valid teams that would actually beat three really strong opposing teams, and that's like a real issue, honestly. I think I kind of misplayed it a little bit. Being on stream doesn't help, frankly, because you're trying to adapt like this thing that could take hours to plan. It really like it. My eventual product will look very different than it currently does. Than it did the other day, but like I didn't know what things to put with who, and like how weak can I put uh gosh, I almost called him Jamal. People have been calling him Jamal, Jedi Master Luke. How much how much uh, like how weak of a team can I put with Jamal if I want to be able to take out a credible threat? I have no idea. I just have no idea. It's too new still.
That is, yeah, that's completely it. But I think the one thing I've noticed from this week, barring my results from last match, is unless you have a super fast team around him that's going to outspeed a Vader or a Darth Revan, he shouldn't be on defense. That is my takeaway from this week. If you can get not him, but one of his supporting cast members faster than a Darth Revan or a Vader, I think I think you're okay putting him on defense, but just having him on defense isn't going to work because all the counters to Rey also counter Jedi Master Luke, um, and for fantastic banners. So people already have the teams built up. Like people have Vader, Watt, Thrawn, and Traya built up from countering their Reys. And so now they can also be used to counter Jedi Master Luke, and it's like, well, we already have this team, guys. Thanks for giving it to me easy.
Yeah, it's no joke, man. Dude, I really liked your idea actually. I'm gonna have to think about it some more, but I'm sure you'll talk about it more, but I liked your idea, whether or not it ends up being like super feasible. I liked your idea of putting clones with Padme. It's weird and it's hard
Yeah.
for me to like my mind around it, and there's no bonus turn meter or anything. There's certain things that aren't as good about it, but if you do that, then you have more Jedi available.
Right. And I think so. I don't know if that's the long term strategy. And for those of you that don't know, in my final match, I wanted to figure out a way to come up with three extremely strong Jedi teams. Um, and that, so what I did was I had the standard Jedi Knight Revan lead, which was just, Jedi Knight Revan, Bastila Jolie, Yoda, and Hoda, figuring that's my General Grievous counter. And then I wanted a way to make both a Jedi Knight Luke lead and a Jedi Master Luke lead. And so what I came up with was I dismantled the Padme squad, and I gave clones to her. And then I went Jedi Knight Luke, Ahsoka, Shakti, General Kenobi, and Ezra. And the Jedi Master Luke team was Jedi Master Luke, Gas, Jedi Knight Anakin, Old Ben, and Barriss. And so I tested that Jedi Master Luke team in Arena more times than I can count over the past week. And that's a very easy Supreme Leader Kylo kill. I mean, it was pathetically simple. Because Jedi Master Luke puts out the ability block before they take a turn. They all take a turn, then Old Ben, before they take their second turn, gets the mass ability block out again, and Gas just deletes people. And meanwhile, they're critting, and Zaris is just saying, I laugh at your crits, Supreme Leader Kylo. So, it was up. that was the only way I could come up with three strong Jedi teams, and that Jedi Knight Luke team. I mean, I went up against a good Django Nest team, and it just it erased him. Like you blink, and that entire team was gone, which was quite fun in and of itself.
That's a super fun. We're gonna have Kiedi Mundi starting to enter the scene here pretty soon, and someone in chat is saying that they have proprietary information. Now that they didn't use that word, but they did say that Kiedi Mundi is good at Relic 7 with Jedi Master Luke, which that doesn't really surprise me. You can't use his Zeta with Jedi Master Luke, but
That's fine.
hopefully
It's
he can. The crazy thing is, so we're talking about we need to actually come up with like a 3 Jedi teams, so 15 total Jedi.
yeah,
Soon enough, we're gonna need to come up with like a 4th Jedi team, because Kiedi Mundi has a Zeta that only works with Galactic Republic Jedi,
yeah,
and so we're gonna have we don't have enough good Galactic Republic Jedi right now to make that team anyways, to make it really good anyways. But once we do, they're gonna give us something. I mean, everyone thinks, and I kind of agree, like we're gonna get like a Mace rework or a new Mace character or something.
yeah.
He's gonna come in and be the leader everyone wanted. No, he's not gonna have the same kit as Jedi Knight Luke,
Yeah.
but he's going to yeah. Gosh, I just spaced it because I was reading chat. I think he's going to usher in a new era of peace and prosperity in the galaxy. Like we're going to have 4 Jedi teams eventually.
Yeah. Well, it would not surprise me if the next Galactic Legend comes from the Clones era. Um, and there are a lot of a lot of people have the Padmes, the Yodas, and the good, oh, and the clones at Relic 7. But there's a lot of Jedi, Galactic Republic era Jedi that could be thrown and requirements for Mace that would basically be CG's idea of, okay, we're going to make you gear these people up for this Galactic Legend. But think about it, like there's a lot of people have Plo for the ship, but there's Ayla and Qui-Gon Jinn, and if you weren't around for the Qui-Gon Jinn meta, you don't have him past Gear 8. There's like Lumi, Kit Fisto, I'm a Gundai, all of these guys that they could make you gear up for the next Galactic Legend, and it just makes sense. Plus, then you plug Cam in, and there you go. So, you know, here we go. Galactic Legend Mace. He's up next.
Yep, move forward. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Hopefully, I don't know. I'd be okay with that. I mean, I don't know what characters they could do it for anyways, but like you just have to wonder what what they could do in order to um like if they wanted to stay in the sequel trilogy for Galactic Legends, what could they even add? I don't know if there's another Galactic Legend we could add. I guess we could do Snoke and Leia, like as dumb as that would be.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Leia would actually make Leia makes sense. Snoke does not. But what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? Oh, um, yeah, Leia. I could legitimately see her as a Galactic Legend, and if she's not a Galactic Legend in 2 years, that's going to be disappointing. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I wonder what she'll. Why aren't they releasing more Leias? There's something around. There's something about Leia, like Carrie Fisher or something that's going on in this game. because do you remember like people were saying why can't we get like a thumbnail or whatever you call
Yeah.
it, like a character portrait of Leia? Like we haven't gotten any of those yet, and they were like, okay, we're trying out, we're trying to, but there's these difficulties.
Yeah, it's something at Disney. Like it's got to be something at Disney that we don't know about.
Because we I'm not saying that we should have 5 or 6 or 7 characters or versions of every character, but we have 3 Kylos. Why can't we have more than 2 Leias?
Yeah,
Like,
that's.
I mean,
I
I
don't know.
guess they're like equally important to the story. I
Oh,
think.
I would say Leia is more important than Kylo. Like I know he was the main character in the trilogy, but Leia is it's the story of the Skywalkers. Like literally, the nine movie arc is the story of the Skywalkers. You would think that the Skywalker would be one of the most important ones.
And Orig in the chat saying, if we could get Slave Leia, he'd spend $500.
Oh,
They didn't do midriff Padme. They're not going to do Slave Leia, but
right.
I hear you, Orig. You're not alone.
Mary Poppins Leia, I'll pass. Oh, all right.
There's a lot of Leias we could have. Yep.
There are.
Um. Anyway,
Yeah.
so seems like there was a lead into this. Let's see.
Probably.
Probably. I don't
Well,
know. We can mention it later.
yeah.
But there should be new marquees coming out pretty soon. Um, there was a data mine that showed that there were 3 marquees, and actually someone was telling me that there was actually evidence of a 4th one, and that they all skipped a number. I don't know, I didn't look closely at the data mine, but it was like number 12, then they skipped number 13 or something, and then there was 14, 15, 16, and the code showed each of those, the way people read these data mines, like the code showed support for 4 different marquees, and one that it was kind of implied but just hadn't been part of the data mine. So what do you think of that? Exciting
Uh,
times. What are they going to be?
I don't know, but I feel like they are exciting because when there was, the Reddit post, and I think we've talked about it on here before, but that our good friend Meowbaka posted on Reddit, and then CG Spaniard replied, and he said he was excited, or he wished he could have worked on the new characters that are coming up. Speaking of Meowbaka, but he wished that there were characters that he could have worked on. So that to me says that they're at least interesting characters. They might not be, you know, household name characters or whatever you want to say, but to me that says interesting characters, and so it kind of perked up my ears when I read that comment. And now we're getting the new marquee packs in the data mine, so maybe tomorrow we find out about new marquees, and hopefully they are a lot of fun. My only complaint with this, and it's not a real complaint, it's just a I want to be selfish complaint, is I still have to gear up people for Sith Eternal Emperor, and that's going to take me a couple months. So if they're releasing 3 new characters, um, and they're fun, I'm going to want to gear them up too, and I'm going to have to make a decision, and I don't want to have to make that decision.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, I can't believe how much money I've spent in the last few months on this game. Like it's more than I've ever spent on this game, which I mean, I have an income in the game now. I'm not spending it recklessly, but people want to see, the newer stuff in action and stuff. So you know, I don't think it's been reckless, but I've been spending more than normal. And I'm still so far behind. I still, like, my Cara Dune is only gear 10. And I mean, I could probably like get her to gear 12 at least right now, but I'm just in this incredible gear shortage right now. It's crazy to me. And like you said, you sent me that screenshot earlier today of your Snoke, or your Snoke, gosh, I'm all in my mind apparently, of your Sith Eternal Emperor slog of gear that you have to go through. And I mean, mine isn't much better, maybe a tiny bit.
Yeah.
I've got a lot to do. And I'm like, I think I really, really might the characters I need to do before that though. I want to do the 3 Mandalorian characters, Cara Dune and the 2 bounty hunters. And then I want to do like I really need a pre-taunt tank. I need one of them to be gear 13, like short trooper or Sith Empire trooper. One of those two needs to be gear 13 soon, because I L3 alone is not cutting it. I need something else that can actually survive Supreme Leader Kylo sword to the face. So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I need to do those 4 at the very minimum, and then the Sith Eternal Emperor worthless farms. There's a couple good ones, um, but then we'll have these 3 new marquees. And I was telling you the other day, I feel so frustrated, just irrationally angry about they didn't have any new characters last month at all. No new characters. This month we also have no new characters. We just have the 2 Galactic Legends that the majority of the player base has no access to, and that's it. And that's like my favorite part of the game. So I'm starting to get antsy. I want these marquees, but at the same time I'm with you. I'm like, where's the gear gonna come from? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the list of characters. I still have 8 characters that I have to gear up for Palp, and the problem with these Galactic Legends is you have to get them gear 13, and so I need so many med packs and furnaces that it's going to take forever just to farm them in the Kairos. Like, just those 3 pieces of gear, I have. I need 450 stun guns. I have 450 stun guns already, just because every time I see them in the shard shop, I buy them 6 at a time, and the last, what was it, 4 weeks of gearing up for Luke, all my characters were already G13 or G12, so I didn't need stun guns. So I had 450 of them sitting around. Like, oh look, I have all the stun guns I need, but this is still going to take me 2+ months.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah, it's gonna take. The thing is, I don't have the Zetas in place for Sith Eternal. Anyways, I have 1 Zeta. Maybe, let me see. I'm on Nox right now. Actually, I'm almost at 2 Zetas right now. Very close.
Yeah.
36 mats. I'll have 37 in just a minute, or whenever I get paid out for ships. A couple hours, I guess. But I'm still not that close to it, and so we can keep building. The thing is, we're going to get 3 marquees. I would give the odds at approaching 0 that none of them have Zetas. Like,
Oh yeah.
some of them, maybe one won't have Zeta, but my guess is all 3 will have 1 Zeta, is my guess. Maybe one will have 2. And they'll all probably be compelling Zetas. They'll probably all be good. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about that either.
Yeah, I am going, or my guess is of 3 new marquees, there's 5 Zetas in the bunch. That's just my gut. 2 of them are going to have 2 Zetas. It's going to be a lead and a unique, and one of them will just have a unique. Because they have a recent history of doing that. Look at the last Mandalorian tunes that came out, and it was double Zeta Grief, double Zeta Mando, and then Cara Dune had the unique.
Yep. Yeah. I think the new marquees will be potentially they'll be Mando related or they'll be Cam related. Those are my 2.
Yeah.
No, here's the third. They'll be upcoming raid related.
Well, that very well could be.
We'll see. We shall see. So Oh, so the topic I wanted to mention, it goes along with the topic just a minute ago. We were talking about how people are changing their defenses because of the Galactic Legends, and it's going to be pretty different coming up here, because we're all going to have new teams available for that we're using with the two Galactic Legends, and they're going to be using characters that we normally don't, just because all Galactic Legends are pretty good. I've used the phrase turd polishers before. Like, they all make bad characters at least okay. like
Yeah.
like Holdo. I know you use Holdo with Jedi Training Rey and stuff sometimes, but the fact is she wasn't largely used in the past, and so they open the door to using all these bad characters, and therefore we're going to be seeing these characters on defense sometimes offense, whatever. But the fact is, we're going to get to the point, at least until they give us more defensive squads in the zones for the map or whatever. Until they do that, though, we're going to end up with this squad compression situation where you can set a really strong defense and still fail a couple attacks and still have a bunch of good teams on offense. So the better choice is to start just putting good characters, just smashing them together, like the Supreme Leader Kylo team with the zombie cheese. It's not just annoyingly effective, it's also just it's also like, you don't always need Night Sisters nowadays.
Right.
Like, why not just make one squad into them like stronger, and then you still don't need them? So, like, I feel like I'm already starting to see that. What about you?
Oh, 100%. I mean, every round this Grand Arena season, I have said, God, I put such a strong defense down, and I mean like no weak teams. And then I get to the end of my attacks, I'm like, I still have so many strong teams left on my attacks. Like, I didn't use everybody. Especially with, so one of the downfalls, I guess, of splitting my Jedi up into three strong teams is I now have three strong teams where I used to have two. So now I just added another strong team. Like, I'm never going to have to use a B team again. Maybe the B plus teams. I still use KRU on occasion. I still will have a couple of those types of teams. I still use Geos, but at this point, with how the board is, I will never have to use just a straight B team anymore. I've stopped using JTR as her own team. I use her with Rey now just to strengthen Rey. I've stopped. The only time I use Night Sisters is if I see Geos on the board, which at this point is I only see Geos on the board when I go up against the weaker players. I say that, and you set Geos on your defense, but
You know.
but there's so many teams that I have built up now that were consistently good teams that just can't find a place. And so I am smashing teams together, like smashing JTR onto my Ray team. And like you said, Night Sisters, they're an easy team to smash into another team just because you really don't need them. And at this point, they're so easily beaten by multiple squads. It the board staying the same size while our rosters grow exponentially is just going to lead into a lot more teams getting smashed together.
It is, man. The landscape of high end galactic or Grand Arena is, it just keeps getting more and more complex. The complexity is increasing. Like, I felt so uncomfortable when the first Galactic Legends came out. I was like, really? Like, you want? I can't afford to spend Geo Brood Alpha with my Darth Revan squad.
Yeah.
That rips two teams apart. And now I'm just like, I guess I'll just plug this character into another one. Like, you have your cool spreadsheet that you're like, okay, I'll take this squad with this, and you have all these preset squads that you can take, and I'm always just like, what teams should I just sew together and play? Like, I mean, usually they belong all the same, but like bounty hunters, it's like, okay, do I take Dengar or do I take Mandalorian? Do I take, like there's a lot of trade-off, and sometimes like especially when I don't need a galactic legend, when I don't need Jedi to kill a galactic legend, it's like I can just fragment all my teams and everything just like becomes this crazy mess that I don't know how to quite deal with it, and the the addition of new characters is not going to help that at all.
No, it's not. Yeah, I it got to the point where I was thinking about smashing my Darth Revan team into another team this past round. And I was like, this is crazy. Darth Revan is still a fantastic team. I mean, he might not be Galactic Legends, but he can beat Galactic Legends. And I'm sitting here thinking, is he strong enough, though? In fact, right before we went on air, we were talking about Darth Revan. And he's basically on defense to absorb gas. Like, okay, you're going to use your General Skywalker to take out my Darth Revan. Like, we know that's what's going to happen. You're going to get 52 to 54 banners doing it. Let's just move along.
Someone in the chat is asking, should they add 1x more team per zone? 3 teams total? Ooh.
3 is a lot, but I wouldn't be angry if they added 2.
2 would, so people, the only thing is it'll make Galactic, it'll make GAC longer. Like, it just takes more time to chew through that much. But
it would be like a 3v3 where it takes
right
an hour to do your GAC.
Maybe they'll make an 8x speed to go along with it.
God, with Galactic Legend Rave, they need to.
Yeah, that's no joke, man.
Or with First Order. oh, too soon.
Solo's on fire today.
I am. I'm quite spicy.
Super dick. Gosh.
Oh no.
All right, I'll remember that, Solo. I shall know how to act.
Yeah, but so the funny part is, so they added 4x speed back in the GK Zaris days because literally everybody in the game complained of, God, how long is this going to take? Like, we don't want timeouts in our arena. And they're like, yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, we added 4x speed, which isn't actually 4x speed. It's probably more like 2x speed. But then they just came out with tunes that have longer and longer animations. Like, if you put Cara Dune on a raid team, you already increase the chances that the opponent is going to time out just because Kara's animation legit takes like 2 to 3 seconds. Like, she runs all the way across the board, then takes out her little shock prod or whatever it is, and then runs back, and it's, guys, I don't have that much time, and just
well, can you stop, Kara?
Right.
Just, are you kidding me?
Like, you shouldn't time out on a team just because the character animations take that long. You shouldn't time out on a team ever. I'm sorry. Timeout teams are awful game planning. But especially it shouldn't happen because of animations.
Yeah, we need and at the same time it is like the part of me that doesn't care. Like, I don't like the timeout aspect. I don't like how much time it takes. I don't want to not have cool animations either.
No,
in the end, I mean, I'm good with. It'd be nice if we could maybe just have a toggle, like take long character animations off.
Right.
Yes, no, I don't. Yeah. some of them are so frustrating. I'm like, does the zombie really need to like bend backward and chomp, or whatever the animation is? It's especially relevant to my most recent match.
It
Like,
is.
I was like, you took so long. It didn't take that long, but it just felt like it. I'm like, I don't want you to do anything.
Yeah.
But
I
anyways.
which is a shame because there are a lot of really cool animations out there. Um
Yeah, I was saying the other day, man, one of my very favorite animations in the game, and no one even knows that it exists. I probably said it a lot on this
yeah.
podcast, but the mission, the mission animation is so cool. Like, she throws a grenade and then shoots it when it gets close to the character.
Yeah.
But I had no idea it existed for like over a year because it's too fast in 4X.
Yeah. That's a fantastic one. Or like Embo, his hat throw, amazing animation, and it doesn't take that long. Um, yeah. All right, but
Exactly.
so that does actually kind of lead nicely into the next point on our little list of. I can't tell you how many people I've had this conversation with in the past week alone. These new Galactic Legends coming out have led to a further analysis of the old Galactic Legends. And everybody is out there telling me how now Rey is the worst Galactic Legend out there, which I find funny because there's basically three arguments. One is you made me gear Rose Tico and she's awful, so Rey sucks. Um, the other one is she's just not that good. I have to take uh, all my good Jedi with her, and then and it's like
I'm
she
sure
used
you do.
it's like well that too, but she uses the same exact team and arena as Jedi Master Luke, and people are like, but he's a Jedi, so it just makes sense that he would use all the best Jedi. What? So it's okay for him, but not for her. All right. And then the other one is, um, she just can't beat people. Like there was some horrible flowchart made by some guy that's never used a Galactic Legend in his life, and he's like, "Yeah, Ray can only beat one Galactic Legend." There's literally one Galactic Legend out there that can beat every other Galactic Legend. I'm not going to say easily, but without much changing of your team, and that's Ray. Like, Luke struggles against Palp, and then Palp struggles against Supreme Leader Kylo, and Rey is just like, I'm gonna beat you all. And everyone's like, she's awful. So can we please give up the Rey hate just because you don't think she's fun to play with? Because, admittedly, mirror matches are mind-numbingly boring. But
They
it's
are.
it's not right. It's not because she's a bad character. She's the problem is she's too freaking strong. And people are like, oh, but she's obviously the worst one. It's like, oh, God. No, just give it
Also,
up, people.
so I agree with you that she is actually surprisingly versatile against all the other Galactic Legends. I wouldn't have credited it, but I think you're right. Here's the interesting thing for that I've been considering though, and someone else mentioned this. It's not my original thought, but I've been thinking about it though. It makes sense eventually. Like, so her whirlwind is powerful now. It's very powerful. It just like Imperial probe droid, his explosion, and what's his name, Savage, his like quote unquote execute thing. Those both do, massive damage, or whatever the phraseology is on that. And 100,000 damage is like not that much anymore. Like, my commander Luke can handle that kind of thing, and Ray does what, three times that or four times that? I don't remember, but like, it's enough that it's like, whoa, that's a huge amount. That's impressive. She's awesome. And at the same time, she eventually, long term, she's going to be relegated to irrelevance because she doesn't stack. I guess she stacks some things. She's, if they're reducing her turn meter or whatever, but her mastery level. But for the most part, like, is going to become less and less relevant as people's continue to advance their accounts.
So I do sort of agree with that, but at the same time, that's going to be true for Kylo as well. Because when you think about it, he is not killing most teams out there on his, eighth AoE. It's that his current AoE is so powerful, and then he goes into ultimate, and when he goes into ultimate, most people die around him. That damage isn't going to hold up over time either. And yes, he can build up his offense. Like I get that that's the part of Kylo, but so he's going to turn into a 4-minute counter then when he has to build it up that high. Because Rey is doing, 400k damage. Like the day that 400k damage isn't enough anymore, that's going to basically make every character we're currently using worthless. Um, so, it's an argument, but I think it's an argument for 3 years down the road. And by that point, we're going to have, if they keep this cadence up, we're going to have like 15 or 16 Galactic Legends and only placing 7 teams on the board. So we may not even be using Rey.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things go. It's going to be a while till she's irrelevant, and she goes right in the same basket as the pilotless ships. Once, like right now, it doesn't matter. Like the mods don't actually impact anything but at some point they're going to increase relic levels or give us another gear level or player level, whatever it is. And when that happens, all the piloted ships are going to get a buff, and all the pilotless ships are going to have to just get some kind of an under the table kind of whatever buff, like just across the board. CG is going to have to go in and rebalance all of them, and I have no idea how that's going to work.
I've been really curious about that as well. But they have said that they had a plan for it. So maybe they already know. We might not know. But they said that they have a way to scale it whenever the rosters advance. So, they don't have to announce it now because they may not even know how the rosters are going to advance in the future. But it sounds like they contemplated it at least when they released these ships. And if there's one thing I don't want to do, it's discourage CG from releasing more pilotless ships, because pilotless ships are just better for everybody. Quite frankly.
Yeah, it's nice, but we're gonna get the Razor Crest. We're gonna keep having piloted ships. That's just the reality.
Yeah, I don't think that piloted ships are going away. I'm just saying I don't want to discourage them from also releasing pilotless ships.
Fair.
Because
I totally agree.
I don't want to be gearing up I don't want to be gearing up 2 new First Order and Resistance characters for the tank that the fleets so badly need.
Yeah, I would love it if these marquees are just like random ship boosts to different factions.
Oh
That
yeah.
would be the only, like, I've usually just kind of grimaced when they come out with a new ship and like really have to learn how to incorporate that, but I would be super excited actually about that. Like Resistance, Holdo needs something other than the Houndstooth. She does.
Right.
And so does like Finalizer fleet could really use a tank. Like my Kylo shuttle keeps just getting demolished by the AI. It's not great. Anyways, we'll see what happens with that, and let's see.
Yeah.
That's probably about it. We could probably start talking about our matches.
we probably can move on. Oh, actually, one thing we should mention, because when CG does something right, we want to actually
Oh, that's
acknowledge them for doing something right. And it's they hired a new community manager, or I guess I should say transferred, because he already worked at CG, just not in this role. And this is not to replace Crumb. They brought somebody into the position as an addition. So recognizing that they had a hole, they created a new position and brought in CG Dojafet, and he has been knocking it out of the park. Um, he's actually interacting with the community. He's been open and said, "Hey guys, some days I have a lot to do behind the scenes. Some days I have a lot to do customer facing." Um, he has, when there's been questions about game mechanics or videos put out about how something doesn't appear to be working right, he actually went to a game engineer and got a full description of why everything that was happening in the video was happening and why it's working as intended. It's not just
right.
a post from CG High Command saying working as intended, move along. Um,
Dude,
you know,
I had to laugh so hard. And I've actually watched a couple of Scribes, a couple of his streams. So, he seems like a good dude.
right.
But it was a little bit clickbaity, honestly. His video, which we all fall prey to a little bit of clickbait here and there if you make content enough. But this one was I don't know, especially kind of he gave a lot of. It was just funny, like I don't know. It wasn't mean spirited, I don't think, but like this new guy just like dismantled Scribe's argument like super hard.
He
And
did.
I laughed out loud when I saw it. I was like, but he said it in like this really good natured way, just like a good community manager should. Like he's just like, yeah, this is how it is. Like I talked to one of the game developers, and we sat down and went through the kits, and like we just enumerated. It was like this step by step dismantling of everything that Scribe said. And again, I have nothing against Scribe at all. I just like his post was like, CG, fix your stuff, it's not working. And CG was like, you know what, sometimes our stuff doesn't work, but this time, like, just stop. and,
Right.
and I think that the added benefit was Scribe probably got a bunch of subs from that from that
Probably.
attention. So
Yeah.
and he handled it. He handled the response from CG pretty well, actually. I thought he did a good job of like, oh well, thanks for the information, etc. Like he handled it well. So all is well. I loved that our community manager just went in and said, hey, look, here's something you guys are getting wrong, and we don't necessarily like. Here's the truth. So I don't know. I
Right.
thought it was cool.
Agreed. And hopefully, I mean, I hope he keeps this up. This is always the fear. Somebody starts strong, and then you're like, okay, is this going to go away later? I truly hope that it keeps up. One of my favorite parts about when I started this game was how active the CG devs were with the community. And then, of course, the community on Reddit, they were on Reddit daily.
Yeah,
and
they were.
And they were interacting with the community, and then, I mean, one thing went wrong in the game, and it's like the entire subreddit just devolved. And then the devs never came back. It's like, sorry, like we're not going to go play in a sandbox where you don't want us. So I like that they're making an attempt to actually talk to the community again. Like that's how it should be. And unfortunately, the downside of that is when you talk to the community, sometimes things are going to be said that never come to fruition. And we have to be okay with that every once in a while. It's like, hey guys, we're working on something. And if they come out and say, we tried it, it didn't work when we put it into practice, I don't think the response should be, you promised, you suck. It's got to be, okay, well, I hope there's something else next. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, Um,
Well, yeah, there's
because
a certain lack of just like gracious. I don't know. Like you need to give these people some grace. Like I think, they're people. We want information. Like give us information, and we should just be able to handle disappointment. I mean, that's adulting,
right,
frankly. But
right. If we want them to communicate, we have to also understand that things are going to happen when they communicate. Unfortunately, that's just kind of the way it works.
just get
Especially,
scared instead.
it is, yeah, because I mean, you go on Reddit, and I swear to God, and we talk about this weekly, but
We do.
it's like they'll say, "Hey, we'll look into something," and next thing you know, a year later, somebody's posting about they told us we were gonna get this specific thing, and sometimes they do promise a specific thing and don't deliver, but sometimes it's just members of the community saying they said they were gonna do this, and you look back at the post and it was like, oh, they said they would look into it and see if they could fit it into the schedule. All right,
Right.
yeah, but
Well,
anyway,
and our friend Meow Baka is listening. You're kind of, I know you're referring to something he said, though. I will say,
well, actually,
he's got some pretty valid points on some of the stuff. He's also in chat. He just mentioned the devs have talked to us more. They're also not mentioning at all, like, you weren't impacted by it solo, but like my
yeah.
guild was like phase 4 in territory battles this week in Lightside Geo didn't work
Oh,
at
that's
all.
yeah, that's a legit problem.
And the
And
devs just said, hey, we know it's an issue, and they haven't said anything else.
and I actually I wasn't speaking specifically about Meowbaka. In fact, that's why I threw the caveat in of sometimes they do say that they're going to deliver. I mean, I saw a post not too long ago that was, oh, it's the how they promised the new myth out on Reddit is that how they promised oceans of content this year, except for that's not what they ever actually said. Um, and so that's what I was referring to. I wasn't referring to Meow Baka's things. He referred to something that they did promise, not something that somebody made up that they promised or
That's
inferred
fair.
that they promised. That's what I was talking about. Is when they say, "Hey, we're going to look into something," and then just because they're looking into something or seeing if they can make something work, that's not a guarantee. Because if you're going to haunt them on saying, yeah, we'll look into it and say that, turn that into a promise, they're just going to stop saying, we'll think about it or we'll see if we can make it work. That's not what we want them to do. That's what I was trying to get at.
True. Absolutely true. Um,
Anyway,
we've talked about that a lot. I mean,
we have.
you don't want. It's just a frustrating thing if you work hard on something and you want to deliver a good product of whatever. Like, if enough people just take a dump on you, like, why do you want to interact with those people? Why do you want to keep just coming back and taking all that punishment, like, for no gain, I should
Right.
add.
And, we do this as kind of a society outside of video games and inside of video games. And we assign these evil intentions to people. And there are legit people that think that CG employees are trying to undermine their own game just to screw people. And it's like, guys, they're not trying to make a bad game. They're not trying to screw their players. Are they trying to make money? 100%. They're a business. Of course they're trying to make money. And are they probably pushed or stretched to their limits? They're an EA company. Of course they are. That's the way EA works. But I don't think any single dev there wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to half ass my work today. I'm going to, or I'm going to, today I'm really happy. I'm screwing the players. Like, no. They wake up and they say, they're a normal person like you or me, and if you don't have a perfect day at work, you don't have 400,000 people that are going to notice.
True.
Unfortunately for them, if they make a mistake, 400,000 people are going to be screaming at them. Um, but it's not because they meant to make the mistake. It's not because they're screwing with you. And when it comes to light side territory battle 4, uh, we can pee sometimes.
Oh, look at that. Gom is here.
Yeah. They don't want light side territory battles to be bugged. In fact, it's awful for them. I guarantee you somebody got their head chewed off by their manager when that bug was reported. Like, they'll fix it. They're going to work to fix it. God only knows what broke it, but it's not because they were trying to screw the player base like somebody on the forums posted today.
True.
Anyway.
Anyways, we should probably move on. We've been championing the devs for a while. I do, I think it needs to be done sometimes. We all need some perspective.
Needs to be balance in the force.
Indeed. So Solo, how was your Grand Arena week?
I can't shake 2-1 this week. So I guess my first match was like I kind of alluded to it earlier, where I have 3 Galactic Legends coming into this week. My opponent didn't, and so in response, he kept almost everything for offense. I mean, I think his 2 hardest teams on defense were a General Grievous team that had legit relics. I mean, it wasn't a pushover, but we've been fighting Grievous for years now. And a heavily relicked Night Sister team. And we just talked about how Night Sisters was the faction that's disappearing. So I was able to go super heavy on defense. And even though he kept everything for offense, he still ended up losing a battle to me while I full cleared. What about you? How'd your first fight go?
Oh, man. My guy, I faced him before. And apparently he just didn't want any of my nonsense. And he just placed like just a bunch of extremely weak teams on defense, and like laughably bad teams. Like I full cleared for 2155. And like I've never gotten in the 2140s or the 2130s so far on that account. And I just demolished him. He never attacked back. It was like the weirdest thing. I had a day off. It was like stress-free all the way through. I didn't have to worry about a single thing. Yeah. And that is so rare. It's to be cherished.
It was fun watching you and all the ridiculous suggestions coming out of chat of how to take on said bad teams.
Yeah, like Kit Fisto lead. Like, who knew that Kit Fisto lead gives flat 45 defense to his team? Like, I didn't know that.
There's no reason to.
Didn't even know that. I bet Dom would have had to look it up. So he knows that kind of stuff, though. No, so that was nice. Frankly, nothing disparaging against my opponent exactly. I think I would have beat him pretty soundly anyways. Like I just think I had the right characters available that it was going to be very challenging for him to face me. So, can't blame him. He never attacked. We both got the match off, and then the rest of the week turned out to be really rough. So there's that. So we'll get into that in a minute. How was your round 2, Solo?
So my round 2, I was up against somebody that I faced last season, so season 11, and actually Klesso faced him season 11 as well. And in both matches last season, he only cleared 1 territory. So I put down basically the 2 defenses in the front zone that I thought would bait out his Supreme Leader Kylo counter, because he always puts two Galactic Legends on defense and then keeps one Kylo counter. So he lost to my CLS team up in the top zone. He lost to my Padme team, and then he just stopped trying to attack. He cleared one zone, and that was it. While I was able to full clear him, so it wasn't the cakewalk that you had in round one of just showing up and winning, but it was not. It was honestly not my most difficult fight out there. Um, yeah.
Fair
So
enough.
you had hinted that the rest of your week was rough. So how was your round two?
Oh man. So I faced a guy with high lifetime banners. Just for context for the people who listen to this later down the line. So I just passed the 500K lifetime banner threshold, and that was, it's cool. I got there before most, I would say, not as a brag, just I've had some good success, and so my opponent was right around right between like the 460 to 470K mark, which that sounds like maybe a lot, but over the course of over a year of playing Grand Arena, we're gonna have a little bit of separation. And so facing this guy, he's from Ma, and they have all the different cool tech that it's like they know all the counters. And so they placed a really crazy defense. I placed a way too hard defense is what I did. It was like there's such thing as too much of a good thing, and that's what this was. Oh man. So it was a slog. I ended up with 2055 on as a score. Like I only, it was such a slog that I failed twice against First Order, and that's why Solo's a dick, everyone, because Solo's talking about how some people fail against this
To be fair, I was talking
against
about
First
your
Order.
third match. I was talking about your third match.
Right. Well, so my struggles continue, and we'll talk about that when it's time. But some people fail against First Order, and I did twice apparently. Like I was just shocked. I couldn't believe how well they did. This match I had to face a guy with the Supreme Leader Kylo and Zombie and Daka cheese. Like they placed that. I had to test against that. Got through all of their just crazy defenses, and then to fail twice against First Order, it was pretty rough. And then I got good banners on ships, but 2055 is not great banners, and I was pretty sure he was just going to be able to clear me. I knew that there was going to be one team he was going to have to like be pretty speculative about, and I wasn't sure how it was going to go. So I ended up getting 8 or 7 defends with my Jedi Training Ray team, but it wasn't enough to stop him from getting into fleets. And then on the Negotiator mirror match, he lost to me, and that came close to sealing the win. And then he failed again against my Tarkin fleet in the back as well. And so I ended up beating him by like 30 something, but it was very close up to the very, very end. Really stressful match, really stressful to wait for him as he's attacking. Like I was about to go to bed and he started attacking. I'm like, I can't go to bed right now. So anyways, got the win on that one, made it to the finals against another really crazy comp, but we'll talk about that in a minute. We could talk about my fail against First Order again that Solo is enjoying discussing. So
Yeah.
what how was your third round, Solo?
Well, so in my third round, I went up against a guy that had 25,000 more lifetime banners than me. So really good player. So it was my first triple galactic legend that I went up against. He had a Jedi Master Luke. Going into the round, and this is my fault. I just, sat there and said to myself, All right, I'm not going to take Darth Revan on offense. I'm going to keep him on defense because everybody knows how easily Jedi Master Luke is countered with Darth Revan. Nobody in their right mind is going to set a Jedi Master Luke lead. They're going to do, a Jedi Knight Luke lead or a Jedi Knight Revan or a Basta lead. And so I went into it not planning on needing my Darth Revan counter. And coming into this, he always places both Galactic Legends on defense, prior to unlocking Jedi Master Luke. So I open the board, and he has all 3 Galactic Legends on defense, and there it is, the Jedi Master Luke lead. So I was like, nobody's going to place this, and then he placed Jedi Master Luke lead. And so this, the annoying part is I had my EP Vader counter. I spent more time than I care to admit calculating the speeds of his Barriss, because Barriss gains turn meter on critical hits, and when you're using Vader as a counter when he's not the lead, Barriss passively cleansing the characters can cause a lot of problems. So I was like, oh god, am I going to be faster in this Barriss? Because it was a fast Barriss that's modded well with all health. Fast for Barriss, I should say. But
right.
But Jedi Master Luke also grants turn meter with his AoE, which he uses first all the time. So I was like, am I going to outspeed this Barriss with my Vader? And I was like, yeah, I am. And he had a Yoda, and his Grandmaster Yoda was modded fast. But I just didn't even think about doing the calculation for Yoda, because I was so concerned about Barriss's passive cleanse that I just looked at Yoda and I said, oh, 315 plus the 40 makes him 355. Completely forgot the bonus turn meter that Luke gives out. So before I started fighting, he cleared my board. And so then I knew I needed to one-shot everything. And if I had done the math right, I would have brought my Jedi Master Luke. I would have made it a mirror match. My Luke is faster. And I would have had Gas on my team while he had, Yoda on his team. And so I would have been able to easily clear it in one shot. It may not have been good banners, but I would have been able to clear it. But I didn't do the math right, so I went into the battle. The battle opens up, and there's Grandmaster Yoda passing out tenacity and foresight to literally everybody, which is the death knell to a Vader team. I was actually able to salvage it, though, and somehow I was still able to take out Yoda, Jolee, and Shaak Ti, leaving only... Or no, not Jolee. Yoda, Zaris, and Shaak Ti off that team. Somehow I was able to pull that off. Leaving just Jolee and his Jedi Master Luke, which I can now confirm Geos are once again the perfect cleanup squad to yet another Galactic Legend. Further cementing their place on offense. Because I went in and Poggle just kept Jedi Master Luke ability blocked the entire time. Was able to take out Jolee. Then it took like 3 or 4 spy big hits because Luke's kit makes him incredibly sturdy. But so I did that, and then I brought, against Rey, I took my Rey with JTR and BB-8. And here's where I actually lost it. Almost always, when you do this counter, Rey will saber throw JTR. So I constantly leave Lifeblood on JTR and all the bonus protection on JTR, and Rey always saber throws her and never kills her. Except for this time, the opposing Rey saber through my Poe. And so I lost. Unfortunately, I won easily, but I only won with 4 members standing. So I lost, 5 or 6 banners because I also had a couple people without protection. And then I went into Kylo. I took my Jedi Master Luke against Kylo. It was a pathetically easy victory, but unfortunately, Kylo took somebody out on that team. So I think I ended up winning there for 56 banners. And that's a problem because I got to the back zone. He had his Geo team. I took my troopers against his Geos for 60. And then used my bounty hunters against his Mon Mothma for 60. Then I used my ridiculously strong Jedi Knight Luke team against his Jango Nest team. And I mean, they, like I said earlier, they just erased that team. I think I got hit for one counter, and so I got 59 banners there. So I went into fleet. I went into fleet needing 140 banners, and I could have won. I could have won with 140 banners in fleet. So I went in with my negotiator and against his rebels, and he had a relic Biston, no relics on Scarif Rebel Pathfinder. So I got too nervous and I took Plo in as a reinforcement rather than just going in with the starting trio. And I easily got the win with just the starting trio. Didn't even need a reinforcement. But I only got 66 banners. And at that point, I would have needed 74 banners on my final fleet to win. And I just obviously can't get 74 banners, and 72 is the max. So I ended up losing it there, but if I didn't lose, if I didn't lose Poe on that Rey team, on the Rey versus Rey counter, I would have only needed 60. I would have needed to average 67 banners on fleet, which I easily could have done with the fleets that he set. But that stupid saber throw got him the win. Which is disappointing. I was so pissed. I was so pissed when I got to fleets and realized I had a chance to win. But averaging 70 banners in fleets is next to impossible.
It is.
So close to pulling it off.
Would have been awesome, man.
It would have been, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. So that was my final round, which ended with a meh. How did your final round go?
Meh.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so it was an okay round. Didn't go as hard as on defense this time, but he did place. So my opponent placed some really tough teams that he had never placed before, and like one of them, he made his Supreme Leader Kylo super duper fast. He was 582 speed. So after his speed boost from his lead, that makes him 612 speed, which is crazy, like crazy fast. And it's like, so he did that, and then he put Zombie and Daka with it. It was like the same comp I had faced the previous round, except super duper fast Supreme Leader Kylo. And so I was testing it. Like, none of the people I normally test with could actually get that level of speed on their Supreme Leader Kylo. So but still, even their max speed that I could test against was really fast, really fast. So I tried a bunch of different teams. I couldn't beat it with my Jedi consistently. I couldn't beat it with my there were a few different teams. I wanted to try my Commander Luke team. That didn't work. That actually does have legs, by the way. That counter has legs. I need to practice it a little more, but you can totally make that work. I didn't have the right modding on that team, though. Gonna hopefully fix it tonight. But so I needed to use my Darth Vader team. Darth Vader works really well against it. You guys can see the video. I think I got 54, which is a little disappointing. I think I could have gotten a little better, but overall, I mean, you get a one shot against a team like that, and you got to be happy. So, go
Yeah.
through that. Tried my Commander Luke team instead against Darth Revan again, and one more time against Bastilish Unfallen. Like she had like nothing left, but I didn't quite kill her in my first volley. So then they erased my squad. I did manage to finish Bastila off with I got one more move that whole fight, and Commander Luke managed to go and kill Ray, or Ray, dear Lord, Bastila Unfallen. So that was good. And then the team got wiped out, and I had to take in bounty hunters, finish them off. So that worked okay. Dengar paid the ultimate price though, but screw that guy. I thought it was actually kind of funny that he died and none of the rest of the squad did, because he's always the last guy standing.
Yep.
Um, so in the back zone, he had placed a team I'd also never seen. It was Ray with 3 Jawas and L3. And after some deliberation and discussion with some people on the stream, I just took in General Skywalker and just beat the hell out of that team. Actually, just destroyed it. And then I couldn't. So then I was like, okay, so I have Jedi remaining. I have Jedi Master Luke and Jedi Knight Luke and Jedi Knight Revan. I could split them all my Jedi into 3 teams and just like conquer the world, just destroy the rest of everything. And that I think I should have spent a little more time trying to plot out what teams to take, but in the end I decided whether or not it was correct. I decided that I couldn't take 3 teams. I would need to just take 2, which meant I would need to counter Supremely or Kylo Ren unmasked with the double taunt with my Night Sisters. And so I went in, I took my time at first, like, okay, who do I hit? What do I do? And that ended up, I ended up using the same strategy as I had used in the past, where you just take a bunch, you just take one of your characters, like Talzin, if she dies, you just leave her dead and just keep resummoning her and boost Asajj up. And eventually, like, Asajj basically just like one shot Kylo Ren unmasked. And I was like, okay, I only have 1 minute though. Like, we gotta hurry. And long story, slightly longer. I had a, I was they were down to just OG Kylo, and he was in the red, like super close to the red. Zombie went, and like I hit auto. I was like, I have to just auto it. We only have 10 seconds left, and like Zombie went, and like it was gonna work. It was gonna work, and then I timed out with like one more hit on him, one more hit from anyone, even Zombie at the end, I think would have finished him off. And it didn't, because I played slow at the start because I was trying to figure it out. And then I cleared the rest of his board relatively efficiently, actually. Ended up with worse banners, though, because I had already failed once against Darth Revan and once against Kylo Ren team. So I ended up with 2061 banners. And he ended up, he struggled on my defenses. He was really inefficient, actually. Nothing on him, but he ended up failing 1 fewer time than me and beat me by 8 banners. So super disappointing, especially considering I tried so many new counters and it was like working. I was doing work, and just fell short. And I think the biggest thing for me on this one, honestly, it was just so distracting. Like, there's his whole guild. Like, I got a ton of messages from random people saying like, haha, like my guild beat you, basically. Like, and they had talked about like they're gonna zoom their calls. I have no, or their fights. I have no idea if he did that. My opponent was nothing but classy with me. Just to be real clear, it was all the people on the periphery who, you know, I got a bunch of messages from other people, actually, who they were so that his guild like was messaging other people and saying that they were better than that their guild was greater than Zareth and his followers, because apparently talking about like figuring out problem solving the gas counter versus the Ray team with Jawas, apparently that crossed some line in their like honorable sense of honor, and they thought that I was like, I don't know, they never used the word cheating that I saw, but it's kind of implied. That's how I kind of took it. And I'm like, so you if you think I'm cheating or whatever, like the fact is, you guys did Zoom to
Right.
like help your guy, or you were going to at least. And even beyond that, like I've had a few of those guys like message me and say, "Hey, how would you handle this squad in the middle of a Grand Arena match?" Like, you get advice from people. That's how it works. That we have a whole Discord server based on advice for Grand Arena, and
Right.
you know, just because I'm in a stream and I can't just like hang up on the people watching and say like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna go research for 2 hours. Like, come back and watch me." Like, that doesn't work that way. Like, I need to make my attacks. People give me terrible advice on my streams too. So I don't know. It's been
Yeah.
a very interesting thing I've been thinking about for a while. Like, not to mention my opponent placed all totally different Galactic Legend comps that different than he's ever placed ever. So yeah, a lot of pretty interesting things going on in my opinion. But I lost. It's disappointing. I'm allowed to lose to a good player. He was great. Nothing but classy with me in our interactions. So
Yeah. It's
anyways,
I
go ahead.
mean, to be fair, the people that are saying that they beat you are also the people that have lost to you previously. So they're living
Yeah.
vicariously because they couldn't do it. That's, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what happened.
Yeah, I and I get it. And some of those guys, I threw a couple of them under the bus a little bit, because my opponent was like, at the start of the match, he was like, I'm gonna get revenge for these two guys. And so I posted like for my hype message for the stream, I was like, and he wants revenge against me and I for beating these other two guys, and I beat both of them twice, and I named them. So I get it. Like, you know, they he had his revenge on me. Whatever. In the end, it's just been a very interesting situation. I'm not much for drama. I'm not even, maybe I'm representing it as like I feel like I'm being slighted. I think the thing that's been really interesting to me though is like I felt more and more like I have a target on my back. I'm more people in the community are starting to know who I am. And like this week, all three of my opponents knew who I was in advance of our match. So, people are going to try new comps on me that they've never done before, something that they've heard about that, might work and throw someone off. Like, I get to be that guy, and I've asked for it, frankly,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just been an interesting thing. So I'll stop rambling. I went 2-1 this week. TLDR, I went 2-1.
Right. Yeah. And Rampage said it in chat. You know what? You're a streamer with high lifetime banners. You are the target. It's unfortunately that's what happens to us. And the other problem is and it's like you said, part of the deal of it's this unwritten contract when you become a streamer is that you're gonna do all your fights on the stream. Um, and your stream's not going to take 4 hours to do the fights. Like, before we were streaming and we were just making YouTube videos, it was very easy to record a fight, be finished, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to do the Vader counter to Rey. Let me go watch 5 videos on this Vader counter to Rey so I know what I'm doing. And then you spend 20 minutes watching these videos, which that's perfectly fine, by the way. I bet you nobody that said that you shouldn't or implied that you shouldn't get advice from chat would have any problem watching videos. And I know that because hundreds of people every round go onto our counter spreadsheet to do exactly that. But so then you go back and you do another battle 25 minutes away. after you watch the videos, and then you open up the back zone and you sit there and you say, "Oh, okay. Here's the two teams. Let me go research how to counter them." But when you're streaming, you can't do that. In fact, I have my spreadsheet and I have my plan, and I have my plan for the first 5 teams. I know exactly what I'm going to do for the first 5 teams. There's a little bit of variation that I kind of build into it. I might have Team B assigned to counter one of the teams on the top, and then when I open up the back, if I don't need it, one of my meta teams I'm saving for the back, I might switch the teams, but I at least have the plan and know what I'm going to do. But when you open that back zone and you're on stream and people are watching you, it's this additional pressure of they also think that you should know best. And sometimes you open this back zone and you're like, I have no effing clue what the hell I'm going to do with these last 2 teams. But it's, sort of the social contract we have of, yeah, we're going to stream this. And so, I mean, part of being a streamer is having a target on the back. Part of being a successful streamer like you are is that you're going to face people that just put FU defenses down. And we just kind of have to figure it out on the fly. So it's not cheating to get help from chat, especially when half the chat is saying you should go in with a Han Solo or a Gar Saxon.
Yep.
But
Yeah, yep, exactly. And people in chat are being sympathetic. I mean,
yeah.
it's hard, man. Streaming is hard. I'm not complaining because I've asked for this. It's optional. That's
Right.
something I can choose to never do again if I want to. It's hard though. It is way more difficult if you think about like people in chat are saying like if you fail one attack, then you have to recalibrate. Like you have to readjust everything and figure it out on the fly. Like trying to figure it out on the fly is just very challenging.
Yeah, it is. And, I say that like there's a lot of negatives, but I like streaming. I mean, I legitimately do this because I enjoy it. It's not because, I don't want to do it and I'm being forced into it. It's a part of the fun. Most of the fun of it is you do get to interact with chat, and it makes your Grand Arena like not a group experience because I'm not counting on my chat to tell me what to do, but it's fun to have people there talking to you. And I mean, let's be honest, 75% of the time they're mocking you as you do something and like, hey, you did that wrong. But or at least that's mine.
Yeah.
Maybe not yours, but streaming makes it much more fun. So at least I know I'm not saying that to make it sound like streaming's bad. It's just with everything, there's some positives and then there's negatives, and Anyway.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm truly not complaining about stream. It's just like just a thing that people need to consider, I guess. If you watch something live, like it's fun. Like I enjoy having having the rapport with all the different people coming to watch, and like it's fun. It truly is. If people listening haven't seen a live stream, like I would recommend just trying it, just seeing if it, some people I'm sure don't like it, but it's fun. It's more fun than just watching a video, in my opinion.
Agreed.
And that being said, it can be extremely challenging sometimes. And so watching some of these videos by guys who stream, like, it's not just me and you solo, like everyone who streams, like we all, everyone I've talked to, they're like, yeah, dude, like when I failed against such and such team, I had no idea what to do. But, no one has backed out and said they're not going to do it. I kind of liked what Klesso did today. Like he took out the front zone and then just streamed the rest of it because he had already had a plan. Like I don't think I'm ever going to do that unless circumstances dictate that I should for some reason. But like, I mean, that cuts out some of the planning aspect to it for sure.
Right. Yeah, I will probably only do that like if I go up against another streamer, because it's just a common courtesy to take out the front zone before they stream. So I would 100% do it that way. But I don't know. I kind of like the suspense of being on the stream and opening up the back, and it's like, all right, what's going to be there?
Right. Well, yeah, like it's not nearly as exciting if you're just like, okay, guys, here are the teams.
Yeah.
Let's go. Like, I already have a plan, pre-crafted plan. Come watch me slaughter this guy. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And in chat, Rampage is saying, it's fun. The fun for people watching is watching us face adversity. It wouldn't be fun if 100% of our fights were, if we won 100% of our fights, like actually, you know, rising above what, rising to the occasion. I guess
Yeah.
it's fun, and that's what I enjoy doing. But anyways,
Agreed. Agreed. All right. So why don't we move on to our next? That was our rounds. So that brings up podcast questions. So guys,
Duck would say
it's exactly how a duck would say it. Good lord. All right. So for those of you that don't know how to leave us podcast questions, we love answering them. If you go to our Discord page, which there's a link down below if you are, well, if you're on Twitch or if you're listening to this in podcast form, there's a link in the description below. And join our Discord and you can leave us a podcast question. We have, a channel just for that. So, the first podcast question is about fleets. So I'd love to hear your guys' debate the impact of crewless faction bombers and rank the effect of the bomber on each corresponding fleet. For example, without a doubt, the Republic bomber is incredible, but I do not think it affects the Negotiator fleet as heavily as Hyena affects the Separatist fleet. So the list of the 4 bombers is Hyena, Imperial, Rebel, and Republic. So in terms of the impact on their fleet, how would you rank them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think Hyena is absolutely the answer for number one. Like, I think that's the most important one out of all of them. If you don't have Hyena, you don't have that fleet, period.
Right.
And then I would say the BTL is very important for the Negotiator fleet, to free it up from Houndstooth. That being said, you can do a pretty credible job with Houndstooth there as well instead of the BTL. Honestly, I actually would say that the next most impactful, and I'm not saying that this fleet is the best, but I think the next most impactful is the TIE Bomber for that faction. Like, I've seen people in different shards be able to win against most meta teams with an Empire fleet if they just max out everything and then there's still some RNG. With the TIE Bomber, now Empire fleets, if you have all the relics and all the characters, which is a stretch, granted, but if you have that fleet developed, the TIE Bomber beats every team in the game consistently, and it's all because of that TIE Bomber. And then probably BTL, then the Rebel Y-Wing. Like, Rebel Y-Wing's cool, but you can, like, Biggs is as good. I've discovered Biggs is just fine in that lineup. So what about you, Solo? What's your ranking?
I 100% agree that Hyena, the Hyena bomber is kind of the linchpin to that fleet. So I agree with that being number one. I agree with Rebel being last. It's just the middle that I question, because I agree with you that you don't need Houndstooth, or you don't need the Y-Wing on the Negotiator fleet. But when I open up a fleet, if you ask me what I'm going to be more scared, which bomber I'm going to be more scared to see, the answer is going to be the Y-Wing. So, your logic makes absolute sense, and I get that. But at the end of the day, if I open up my fleet and I see say, Ahsoka Houndstooth ETA, in my head I think, okay, this might get messy, but I'm gonna win. When I open up the fleet and see, say, Ahsoka Y Wing and ETA, or Y Wing Rex ETA, it legitimately makes me worry. Because the RNG on that fleet is just everything about that fleet is who is going to go first, and the Y Wing, unlike the Houndstooth, makes it much easier for the opposing team to go first, or at least the opposing negotiator. And so I would actually put the Republic Y Wing over the Rebel or over the Imperial one. Um, Not to say Imperial's bad, because the Imperial bomber is obviously a good. It's a good ship. I just think that the Y Wing, the Galactic Republic Y Wing, gives that little extra something in negotiator mirrors that can really throw off the counter to it. So
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah,
They're all good.
yeah. Oh, all four of them are strong ships, and I like each one of them. Which is why it's a shame that we have the Rebel one last, because I actually really like the Rebel Y Wing. Um, but that's just kind of the way it shook out on that list.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of strange. I thought that Y Wing was going to be a lot more important to that faction, but for the most part, and I think it's true. Like yeah, it can delete Houndstooth sometimes, or other ships for that matter. But at the same time, so can like all the other ships in the Rebel fleet. So you don't need the Y Wing to do it. Um, anyways, yeah, and I think it'll be fun to see. Uh, we gotta get a bomber uh, for First Order and Resistance. Like that's
We
gonna
do.
happen.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna happen.
it
And
should happen.
there's a real obvious one for the Resistance, like the very starting scene, which you could even include the character Rose's hot sister too. So
Fair, fair.
like may as well. Um, I think we have one more
Yep.
podcast question. We didn't have too many this time, so you guys go to our Discord server and ask us questions, and we'll try to be helpful. So the question is, could you rank the Galactic Legends? Oh, we're ranking things today. Could you rank the Galactic Legends based on GP impact and usefulness for someone looking to go after their first one?
Yeah. Um. So I I have put a lot of thought into this one. And before the question was even asked, I've put a lot of thought into it. I think if you're looking to go for your first one, it should 100% be Kylo. And it's not because it's better. Like, I know I'm literally every day in Arena, I'm beating Kylos on auto with my Jedi Master Luke. But when, I mean, the question specifically says based on GP impact and usefulness, and Kylo is the only one soloing the Sith raid right now. So getting Kylo first will let you gear up for the other Galactic Legends or whoever you want to gear for much quicker than if you say go for Rey. And I love Rey. I mean, we had the conversation earlier, but she's not going to solo the Sith raid. So you're going to lose out on a ton of gear. With that said, Supreme, or God, what is it? Sith Eternal Emperor. That's the name. His gear requirements, while not being very useful, half of his team isn't going to get used. They are probably the easiest for younger players to get. So if it's hard to argue with him as well. But what do you think?
So I've been giving a lot of thought to it too, just in the terms of like I'm doing this new player guide experiment, and I haven't put out a video for that for a while. I feel guilty, but you know, it's been a lot of work actually trying to do all the Galactic War every day, but that's totally beside the point. Here's the thing. I almost think you could make an entire new player guide based off of the requirements for Jedi Master Luke.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
almost all of the characters there are good. Like you want almost every single one of them. Even like Wedge has his helpful moments. Like he can go with Mothma if necessary, and his ship is actually pretty good in the context of a rebel fleet once it's all the way relicked and maxed out and everything. Like Leia even is good with machine gun Leia squads, like especially earlier game she can be crazy. So it's almost like a step-by-step process. Yes, you need like 50 characters for it or whatever, but you also end up with a whole slate of extremely useful characters, and they're all characters, almost every single one are characters that you want in the game to use. So to me, it just I'm not saying for sure that's how you should go for it. Like if you're a new player, maybe that's the angle you go though, is Jedi Master Luke. I do like Supreme Leader Kylo for sure, but the thing is that the characters you have to get for him and the things you have to do to get him, like you you shouldn't get him before you're over 4 million GP anyways, almost for sure, like in terms of just how in terms of grand arena implications and your pairings and stuff. But yeah, i I almost think Jedi Master Luke is better for that. If you want a really early galactic legend, go for Sith Eternal Emperor, because he requires the least. Though I do think the top two are Jedi Master Luke, just because of how important, like how sweeping it is, like how conclusive the entire list of characters are it's going to help you, and then yeah, Supreme Leader Kylo, like you said.
Yeah, the one reason I didn't say Jedi Master Luke, and you and I have talked about um, basically the idea of the new starting guide with him, or new player starting guide. But the one reason I didn't say him is just because he really does need 52 tunes to get. So, while most of his characters are very useful to have, it is a big commitment.
Well, so yeah, I think also, I mean, Kylo's good on defense as well. Like right now, Luke doesn't seem like he's going to be great on defense. If he's your only galactic legend, probably not the most amazing pick. But here's the other piece of it, Solo, and we've talked about this before. People we talk about how soon is too soon to get a galactic legend and go for that madness. And I almost think it's like maybe people should just put that mandatory weight on themselves and just not get a galactic legend until you have all 50 characters done. Like just be
That's
patient, force yourself to wait, because I think that's wise, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, we've talked about that, and I am in agreement with that. You should not have a galactic legend too soon. I mean, look at so one of our friends, Fort Mort, he faced his first galactic legend on Sunday, and he ended up beating the guy just because he put down stronger defenses, and the guy basically had one team. So
Right.
you know, that's a problem when you still don't have Gas and Darth Revan and Jedi Knight Revan and CLS. Is when you're specifically looking at it from Grand Arena perspective. If you don't have the base, you could be in trouble.
Right. Well, exactly. And we see everything from kind of a or from a galactic legend. It is kind of a galactic legend standpoint. A grand arena standpoint. Like but there are other parts of the game, of course. Like, it's a great point that the only character right now who can solo the Sith Raid is Kylo, and
Yeah.
that's something that's huge, honestly, for different level players. Like, that's going to get you the best gear currently. Like, it's very important that you're able to do that. So,
Right.
um, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we only had the 2 podcast questions today. So that brings us into our next section, which is our alts. You have, oh God, an alt that has finished top 10 multiple times, and is sitting now in Division 2. I have an alt that is sitting, I think, at 6.5 million GP. I think this
Jeez.
bloated monster is up there. Let's see. Yeah, well, 6.4 million. So, how did your alt do this week?
um, it won. Like, it was. I'm trying to. So I think the biggest piece of news for me for my alt this week was like, I just didn't get. I ended up, I couldn't clear fleets. He left a Geo fleet and a Negotiator fleet, and like, they were by far his 2 best fleets, and my Falcon fleet normally beats that, honestly. Like, I almost always win that match, and this time I just didn't. Like, I couldn't. I missed a couple times against one of his Geo Soldier, and I lost. So I couldn't clear the board, so I'm not going to get top 10 this time, unfortunately. And then to add insult to injury, the guy couldn't even get to my fleets. Actually, this week no one got to my fleets on my alt. No one got to my fleets. So I don't know. I keep hiding Negotiator back there, and no one is able to actually do anything to it. So like, they're not even able to try to do anything to it. So I don't. It's like, why am I hiding it back there? But yeah. So I won 3-0. I'm on. I think that was win number 8. I think I've won 80 in a row now on that account. So
Not
Division
bad.
2, I've won 80 in a row. Yeah, it's been cool. It's been a good run. How did you do this week, Solo?
My alt is crushing it. I'm currently sitting at 9-0. I went 3-0 this week, and it wasn't. Here's the thing: it's not that I'm going up against easy matchups. Like, I think I have faced in my 9 fights 5 people that have had over 450k lifetime banners. So it's not like I'm going up against bad players. I'm this playing really well on this account. I'm quite happy with how it's going.
Yeah, you have faced some stacked rosters with that account.
I have
Crazy.
this week. I faced double Galactic Legends once. You know what's going on though, and this is probably a good mini topic to talk about real quick. Is so I'm going up against players that I only have one Galactic Legend, and so most of my opponents only have one Galactic Legend. And I'm going up against people that have Supreme Leader Kylo, and they were getting wins before by just leaving Supreme Leader Kylo on defense. And, they would go up against people that left Rey on defense. They would use Vader or whatever Rey counter they had. They would counter Vader, or they would counter Rey. And Supreme Leader Kylo is much harder to counter when you don't have Jedi Knight Luke. But Jedi Knight Luke came around a second time last month. And so I think these people that I'm going up against, they haven't adapted from the strategy that they've been using for X amount of months now of just leaving Kylo on defense. And so I'm going into every round with my Jedi Knight Revan, Jedi Knight Luke counter and beating their Kylo. And if I go up against a Ray, I keep my Ray for offense and just mirror their Ray. Because some people have tried to be tricky and put, Malik on the team or Tenacity Ray or Crit Avoidance Arrow or etc. And I just keep my Ray to counter theirs. And I basically treat my alt like my main, where I'm leaving Darth Revan, Padme, CLS with Chupio all on defense literally every turn. And a lot of these people are not. They're leaving like General Grievous, their Galactic Legend, and that's it for tough teams on defense. So I'm really excited that I'm 9-0. I've never felt pressure on my alt before, but going into this last week, I mean, this could be my first 12-0 on it if everything plays out right, and that is going to be quite exciting for me.
Dude, I think it's awesome. Yeah, I hope you can get a perfect season with that account. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, me too. Unfortunately, if I had realized I was 6-0 earlier, I would have focused more on feats. But since it's my alt account, like anytime there's a fleet arena feat, I just kind of say, I don't feel like doing those fleet battles. I don't care. The squad arena feats I usually just get by default, just from climbing. But fleet arena, just like, I just try and stay top 50 on that one for the 50 crystals. And so I think I'm only 500 now in Grand Arena, even though I'm 9-0, because I've just ignored some of the feats, which is disappointing. I would have liked the chance to compete for at least top 100.
Yeah, would have been great.
At the same time, if I see a fleet arena feat pop up tomorrow, I probably still won't go for it, even if it's gonna get me more banners, just because I just don't care about my alt fleet arena that much.
Yep, I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah.
I was, when I couldn't get top 10, I was like, oh, this means I don't have to do my fleet arena.
Right.
I was like all excited, and I was like, no, I should be sad that I can't compete for top 10. But the reality was that the joy just kept coming. So
Fair.
really took the edge off of it.
Right. All right. Let's head into our final segment of we. Obviously, this is a Grand Arena focused podcast. We like to talk about all things Grand Arena related, which includes what we're doing to prepare for this upcoming week of Grand Arena. So, Zareth, what have you done in the past week to get ready?
This is real easy. I've done nothing. I got Piet from 4 stars to 5 stars today. That was my most recent and only update at all.
All right. Well, there you go.
Yep. I'm farming gear. I'm trying to get everything. Once I got Jedi Master Luke set up, it just takes a minute to recover. So I'll get my characters some upgrades soon, hopefully. But this week, nothing.
Alrighty then.
Ramping up for my Sith Eternal Emperor grind. Yuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Solo?
So this week I got Cara Dune to gear 13. So she was unfortunately at lock for Grand Arena. She was only gear 11. And then the next day I got her to gear 12 and I had 3 of the pieces already for her. So and I was close on the others. So I got her gear 13. Then because of gear that I got in Sith Raid, combined with I'm farming, obviously, for Galactic Legend Luke's Ultimate. And to do that, I'm farming the light side Cairo node. And so I have like 300 of these light side Kairos just from farming for Galactic Legend Luke. So I was like, well, let me apply some of them. And thanks to a lucky Sith Raid, I got a gear piece I needed. And so I got Sith Eternal Trooper up to gear 13. Or not, no, Sith Empire Trooper. Sorry. God, So stupid that they changed the name. The Black Sith Trooper. I got him up to gear 13 as well. So he's sitting at relic level 4 because he is quite the beast when you give him defense sets, give him a crit avoidance arrow, and just plop him down and watch everybody try and beat him up and not kill him. So that's what I did. I also got Tarkin to gear 11. Big moves on that one.
Sweet.
Got Tarkin to gear 11. And I added 2 6E mods to my Jedi Knight Revan, so I added +2 speed to him as well. That's about it. That was my week.
Fair enough. So you were busy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, a lot of it is just from farming this Cairo node that I have so many of them. And then the Sith Ray drops salvage, and it's like, oh, I have this piece that I can construct. I might as well. And then just, kind of apply it.
Right. Yeah, you always have more gear than me because you actually participate in raids. So.
That's true. Yes. Yeah. All right.
Anyways, we should probably wrap things up, Solo.
Yeah.
So, honestly, guys, instead of doing a whole long rambling thing, I think maybe we just, what do you think, Solo? Should we just tell them to go find our YouTube channels and visit our Discord?
That's probably easier. Guys, we have a lot of resources that can help you. Search us on YouTube at, I'm just SoloBase15. That's SoloBass15. Xaereth is just Xaereth. It's Xaereth.
Not to be confused with just Ian.
Right. True. Touche. But find us on YouTube. There you will find links to a counter sheet that is maintained. That counter sheet is probably our most important resource. We talked about the Discord channel as well. And then finally we have... we both have our individual Twitch pages where we do stream our Grand Arenas. Mine, again, is just SoloBase15. Xaereth had to come up with a tricky name because somebody decided to steal his name and not use his account to stream anything.
A-hole.
Yeah, right. So he is Xaereth Prevails. It's XAERETH_PREVAILS. Like I said, we both stream our Grand Arenas. We usually go back to back, so we will raid into each other. So if you find one of us, you will find both of us. And with that said, it's probably time to say goodnight.
I think so. It's been a good stream. I don't know how we always cut it off at exactly 2 hours, but
we are
this will be.
We are really consistent, without really planning that out, which is quite impressive.
I know. It's not like, okay, Solo, we need to move on to the next thing. It's like, I don't know, somehow we get there. But...
Right. All right. So speaking of, let's end it. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Those of you out in Twitch land, it was great to see you in the chat and interact. Those of you in podcast land, thank you. Thank you for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. One scheduling note that it's been staring me and you in the face for literally the entire stream is this Friday will be the final round of Grand Arena for this season. It is Gambit Fight Night. We will have Fruit Ninja Mike, who is, I think, is he tied now with End All Be All? In the Grand Arena Center run by the Escape Podcast guys, Fruit Ninja Mike is tied with End All, who we had on earlier this season. Fruit Ninja Mike will be on with us on Friday night doing his Grand Arena as well. He is a great player, obviously, if he's helping to lead the Grand Arena Center. He also has a shiny new 7-star cam, which hopefully we will get to see in action Friday night. So join us Friday night on this Twitch page. It's the Gambit Podcast Twitch page. and we will see you then. With that said, thank you again for joining us tonight.
Have a great night, everyone,
Yes.
and a great week,
Yeah.
for that matter.
Have a great week, everyone, and remember, evil sucks.
And don't be a dick, like Solo.
Exactly.